All right. How many we got total now? I think we can go ahead and just start the intros here. Thank you everybody for attending this coffee communications with CHPRMS. If you don't mind, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat, just your name and position and where you're at, what organization or business. Yep. So this is today's How to Build Your Social Media Guide with MUSC Health. We learned a little bit about this last fall at our fall conference, and I was excited to bring them back and do a kind of more of an informal chat on social media. So thank you guys for being here. Just some quick business notes here. Save the date for our fall 2024 conference, which is going to be November 20th, 22nd, 20th to the 22nd at Francis Marion Hotel, just like it's been in prior years. You can check out our fancy new website for more information on that, including the call for which the call for speakers is still open, right, Michelle? Yeah, yeah. And stay tuned. We haven't released the Wally Award submissions yet, but there is some sponsorship information, I believe, on the website as well, if you're interested in that. Oh, that's it. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, but I'm gonna introduce our speakers for today. So we got a trio of MUSC communications and marketing gurus here, including Kendall Wofford, who's going to be our going to lead this today. She's the senior campaign manager at MUSC Health, driving their recruitment efforts. We also have Kelly Ray Edgar, who is the digital marketing coordinator, who's doing a lot of the sort of narrative storytelling you see from MUSC on social media, as well as Emma Voigt, the digital marketing director, who is elevating the larger MUSC Health reputation. So yeah, without further ado, you guys can take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you guys all for having us here today. We're excited to talk about social media. We're going to start off with some basic background about the Medical University of South Carolina. So if we go to the next slide. Perfect. Okay. So the Medical University of South Carolina, it's an academic medical center for all of you guys who are not aware of it. We have a tripartite mission. So that means we have clinical care, education, and then we also have research. Over the last several years, we've really grown a lot and acquired several different hospitals. Currently, we have about 1.6 million patient encounters, $3.1 billion operating revenue. We have 16 hospitals and 750 plus care locations and a workforce of over 22,000. And then when we first kind of came on to the scene with this and we were kind of developing our strategy and working with like our social media guide, we had about 12 social media accounts for the clinical side. I'm not even going to get into the research side today because that's a whole nother area that we're going to tackle down the road. But we'll get into a little more detail about how we kind of approached all those various social media channels and consolidating and kind of coming up with a strategy and a guide. Next slide. So of course, mission and values are so important. So really incorporating our company's mission and values into our social media strategy has really been vital. It builds trust, it shows authenticity, and really helps us stand out in the crowded market. It also guides us in creating content that resonates with our audiences on a deeper level. By aligning our actions with our values, we attract like-minded individuals, foster stronger brand loyalty, and drive advocacy. So you can see here the values that we really wanted to incorporate into our social media guide, as well as our mission. So whenever we're thinking about our social media strategy or developing guidelines for the different folks that are involved in social media, we really want to have these at the heart of what we're doing. Next slide. So this is from our fearless leader, Kelly Parrott. I don't think she's here today listening to us, but she often says, if it's not written down, it does not exist. So we have really adopted that method, and Kendall and Kelly Ray and our team has really worked very hard in developing processes, developing a written down strategy, developing guidelines, on content and everything so that it is available, accessible, and we can share that with anybody who's interested in learning more about what we need to be doing on the social media platforms. Next slide. So for social media, we of course had some goals and objectives in mind for our guide. We really wanted to think about consistency. So really, consistency is the backbone of our online presence. When our audience knows what to expect from us on social media, they are more likely to stick around and engage with our content regularly. Whether it's posting schedule, branding elements, or the tone of our message, maintaining consistency really builds that trust and credibility. It reinforces our brand identity and makes our content stand out in the noisy world of social media. Collaboration is also key. So, social media really thrives on collaboration, partnering with our influencers, fellow brands, and even our own followers can broaden our reach and introduce our content to new audiences. Collaborative efforts infuse fresh perspectives and creativity into our content, making it more compelling and shareable. And it plus forging these relationships within our industry or community through collaboration opens the doors to valuable networking opportunities and potentially long-term partnerships. And then we also, of course, wanted to keep in mind clarity and cohesion. So clear and cohesive communication is really the cornerstone of effective social media engagement. Our messaging must be crystal clear and align with our brand's values and objectives. Confusing or inconsistent messaging can really lead our audiences to scratching their heads and really wondering what is going on and weakening our brand identity. So by ensuring our consistency in branding, visual elements, and messaging across all of our social media platforms, we're really enforcing our brand identity and making it easier for our audience to recognize and engage with our content. Next slide.
All right, thank you, Emma. So before we get really into the meat of it, we wanted to just kind of talk about why a social media style guide is necessary in the first place. And so for some background, before I was the senior campaign manager for human resources, I was actually in Kelly Ray's role as a digital marketing coordinator. And it was a tumultuous time when I started. I started on March 2nd, 2020. 2 weeks later, we all went home, and it was crazy for social media at that time. Of course, if you worked in social media marketing, you will remember just the influx of messages and comments and just uncertainty for all of us and for our patients and for our audience. So again, very tumultuous. And so when I realized I was going to be transitioning and we were bringing on Kelly Ray full time, we realized that we needed to have a process that was written down. And so these are a few reasons of the purpose and why we needed a social media style guide. So to define expectations for our team, I think sometimes people think of social media as it's fun and it's pretty, and there's certain aspects of it that are serious and not serious, but it also is a frontline customer service for many of our patients, for potential patients. And so people come and ask questions and they need to know the answer and expect an answer as soon as possible. And so it is, it's 24/7. And so managing the expectation for our team is, to be that customer service contact and to be that first point to get people in touch with who they need to get in touch with. It increases accountability for our teams by having, the documented processes, the documented expectations and roles, so that people know what they need to do. And then we can also hold them accountable to doing what they are supposed to be doing from a brand perspective for social media and for our voice as a brand. And then, of course, create documentation, because if it's, doesn't exist, if it's not written down, I think we are all have that ingrained in our minds now. And it helps us to scale when we bring on new team members. So we're prepared for that future change and can train people up quickly and more efficiently, and then utilize our economies of scale. So helps us work more efficiently. And then with a small team and such a large organization, it helps us have something that is a living, breathing that we can continue to roll out. And so what's included? So this is really the meat of it. We're going to talk a little more about these pieces and are happy to answer questions. But this truly is our Bible for social media. We have our approved social accounts and tools. And so we have a social media governance council who actually approves social media accounts. And so we have them documented in here as to which ones are approved and which ones are not approved. And so we want to make sure we are interacting with and engaging and collaborating with the approved social media accounts for MUSC Health. Has our high level strategy and purpose by platform. And so I know if you've done social media training, There's so many social media platforms out there. If you want to be on all of them, you can be on all of them, but they're all a little bit different. And so we want to make sure we're tailoring our message on the ones that we are on, and choosing the ones that we are strategically. And so we also have our audiences high level outlined again. So certainly audiences change, and we want our audience to continue to grow, but we have our high level who we're speaking to on each platform outlined in our style guide. And then same deal, tone of voice and language. Some platforms are a little more casual than others. Facebook and Instagram, for example, it's more about your visuals. It's more about, using emojis and being a little more authentic and talking to your patients directly, as opposed to LinkedIn. It's more of a professional environment. X, formerly known as Twitter, can be a little bit either way. And so certainly we have our tone of voice and our language outlined by our platforms. And then imagery guidelines, this is where we specifically talk about how to create graphics. Don't post PDFs. Don't post anything with a QR code on it, since most people are accessing social media from their phones. So this is where we explicitly outline these things that sometimes when we've been working in social media for a while, you think it should be understood. And so there are some things that we just still want to just make sure we're holding people accountable to, so that we are maintaining the quality of our content on social media. Hashtags, so hashtags that are approved, hashtags that are not approved. So the ones that are specifically for our brand or for specific campaigns or awareness months, just making sure that we have those outlined as well. Certainly can't catch all of them, but just, reiterating the way that we want to use hashtags, how many we should use per platform. Some like Instagram, for example, allows 30. I think it's changing, and it is constantly changing. It's a moving target, but some are more friendly to hashtags than others. And so just, again, keeping that updated and keeping that outlined for our brand, so that we protect our brand, and making sure hashtags are, again, appropriate to be associated with MUSC. And then of our stakeholders, so we have a lot of stakeholders across the enterprise. So we have our internal stakeholders outlined. So as we are the health system, we focus primarily on the health system, but of course we collaborate with our university stakeholders, and we have 6 colleges. And so we have a lot of stakeholders internally that we want to make sure we're collaborating with and working together. And then also externally, across the state, we have a lot of partners, and we want to make sure that we have those outlined too, of who we want to engage with and how we want to engage with them. And then accessibility is very important, especially as a health system. We want to make sure any content that we're sharing is accessible to all of our audiences, regardless of who they are. And so this is something we have outlined as well, about how we want to use graphics, how we want to use emojis in our captions and whatnot, and do our best to work with the platforms to make our content as accessible as possible. And then we have content guidelines and examples. So not just, taking it a step further from accessibility, but really trying to give real examples on what we are fitting into these buckets within our strategy, within the accessibility guidelines. And so Kelly Ray has outlined real examples of what we want to share, and what is good content and what is maybe lower quality content. And so helping to inform our stakeholders who send us content, who collaborate with us on content, so that we can have a standard to hold to and be able to point to say, this will get posted because of X, Y, Z, but this won't because it doesn't meet our guidelines. So lots to unpack there, and we're happy to answer questions. Did I miss anything, Kelly Ray or Emma? Okay, all right. So what else is included? So we also work very closely with our compliance and risk management team. We have some responses for various complaints that may happen on social media. So like we said, it's kind of the first front line for customer service. And a lot of the topics that people bring up are sensitive. And so we want to make sure that we're respecting our patients' privacy. And so we have some responses that are already approved and by our compliance and risk management team. We have a process where we're able to escalate these situations straight to our risk management team. And so that's outlined in our style guide as well as our comment moderation process. So this is a question we get a lot. People sometimes have negative things to say. And I think if you've ever been on social media, you will see that people are quick to speak their mind and express their thoughts on social media. And so our stance is to let people speak in their mind, whether it's negative or positive. It's not best practice to delete negative comments. And so, but if they cross the line and are offensive or homophobic or racist, etc., we will take action to delete them. And we have and even ban the person too, of course. But we have our policy that it expresses that information too. So if people have questions or concerns, we direct them to that. And our legal team is fully aware of all of that. So definitely make sure your legal team is always involved. But that's something else that we have outlined in there too, so that when we have other social media managers, they are understanding and aware of the process, because we can't just be deleting everything that we might not like or might hurt someone's feelings, because we do get those questions a lot. And then our PTO process, of course, is also outlined. So Kelly Wright is our number one main social media manager, only social media manager, really. And so she has outlined the process of when she does take time off, who's going to fill in, and then also making sure that we're covered on the days when she's not working, like the weekends. So we have processes in place for that, so that people are still directed to the place they're supposed to be directed to. So, and then social media consolidation. So Emma alluded to this in the beginning, but we as a health system have grown a lot in the last 10 years. And so we have consolidated our social media, and honestly, creating the social media style guide really opened our eyes to how much we really needed to do this. We had before a page or an account for each health system. Like Emma said, we have 16 medical centers now, and having one per platform, per health system, per hospital, too many, can't even say it. And so this was why we considered social media consolidation. And so I just wanted to call out these reasons that have really benefited us, made it a more manageable workload on the whole marketing team, helped us utilize economies of scale. So now Kelly Wright is the point of contact, and we have our dedicated local reps who funnel content to her. She can ensure the quality is with our standards, and then she is the one who is scheduling and posting and setting that strategy from a high level. Really helps us manage it better and have that more control over our messaging that's coming out as MUSC Health, the brand. Our larger established audience on our MUSC Health main brand channels, we're able to merge some of our pages to increase that audience whenever we consolidated. Again, further integrate as one health system, as we have, again, truly grown so much over the last 10 years. And so continuing to be one MUSC. And then it's more sustainable for our future growth, since we know that we'll continue to grow in the future, decrease that potential risk, and increase our brand awareness overall, just by having that consistency, cohesion, and clarity of our brand and our messaging and who we are as our identity as MUSC Health. And yeah, so Kelly Ray is going to talk a little bit about how we did it. Oh, you're on mute, Kelly Ray.
That's fine. All I did was cough a little bit, and so you guys missed that. Hi everyone. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time doing our consolidation. It started out with, with consolidating our hospital social media pages to divisional social media pages. So we had multiple hospitals in the Midlands, for example, and so then we made that MUSC Health Midlands. But then we realized, we're going to be continuing to grow and grow and grow. So a year ago, I believe it was, is when we decided to consolidate all those channels into our one in MUSC Health, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And so we had to send out a plan to all of our social media managers. And so this is what we did. We made a simple, tiered, achievable plan and got that approved from our leadership. And then we set the dates and wrote it. Again, you have to write it all down. We set all of our dates and created all of our messaging and all the graphics and sent that out to all of our divisions and told them this is how we're going to do it. And what we have here is an example of the very last post that we did to let everybody know that this is the final day, lights out, but this is where you can find us. And we had to actually repeat that plan in last year because we acquired a hospital in Orangeburg. So again, it's just about writing everything down and having that plan already in place so we don't have to recreate the wheel every time this happens. So fortunately, we are continuing to grow. So, but having this already in place last year was so helpful. We knew exactly what to do. And so at the end of the day, with our social media style guide, we essentially with our channels, we just want to help people live long, healthy lives and to build a team who can deliver expert, compassionate patient care. And that's what I try to remember every single day when I'm posting on social media. I think about how my friends, myself, my family, we're all patients and we want the best care. So that's what I think about when I'm composing our social media, when we are trying to attract people who are going to take care of us and our family and our friends. And we also want to inform everyone on how to, at the end of the day, live a healthier life. And so the way we do that is we center and celebrate our people and our patients. Next slide. And the way we do that is with meaningful content. So before we put this strategy on paper, we did a lot of posting headshots and a lot of graphics that were actually inaccessible because I had too much text and just weren't, all of these things we realized were not engaging at all. And then we realized the more we post pictures of people's faces, like more candid photos and less graphics, the more we use real people that we are employing or who are our patients, the more candid pics that we posted, the more engagement that we got, because we're being more authentic. And so, yeah, again, less stock images, less headshots. And so through that, we're showing our personality and we're showing the heart of MUSC. We're showing you patient stories, people who have had success with our care. And we're bringing our experts, our doctors, and all of our care team members, we're bringing their faces to your feed to humanize them as well. And so centering our people and patients, here's an example of how we do that. So on the one hand over here, we have, this is for, I think this might've been for Women in Medicine Month, but we are recognizing this physician, I believe it's one of our physicians. Okay, sorry. People love when we, again, bring the faces of our experts to their feeds, whether it's one of our experts or our patients. So the guy on the right is one of our patients. So basically we're taking these stories that we have on our blog or that people tag us in, and we are bringing that content to everyone to share those stories. And those are our most powerful tools, our people and our patients.
Hey, Kelly Ray, this is Eric with Reputation. I was just curious, do you guys have to give permission to use photos? I know in pediatrics with babies and stuff that they do that, but I don't know about with hospitals in general, or do you have to get them to sign something? I know with privacy, maybe not. I was just curious.
Oh yeah, we have to be really careful. We have all those permissions in place, and we have to get specific permission from all of our patients and their family members. They all.
Yeah, I thought so. Yep, cool.
We are actually in the process of trying to make that process easier. So maybe next time we can do a talk on that once we have that all in place. So yeah, here's another example of what our audiences love to see. This is a behind the scenes look inside the OR. People love to see how we are, to see up close and personal photos of how we are taking care of them. They also love to see how we are engaging with the community. So when we have like a community health fair, something like that, they want to see that. They love that. they want to see advances in how we are helping our patients. So our advances in research, or if we're the first to perform a certain procedure, our audiences get really excited about that, and it just reinforces that we are experts in this field. They love to see how we're excelling. And patient education, they want to they want to know how to take care of themselves. So we make sure to do as many observances as possible, like it's Stress Awareness Month, and I'm thinking about how I can bring some tips to our audiences on how to better care for themselves. And those are going to come from our experts. Next slide. Quick little introduction to my 20-year-old dog, who is barking in the background because he probably wants more food. So, and here's just some last tips for social media management with a small digital team. So we've had to put a lot of different things in place because we are a small team. So, you know, I no longer have all these social media managers across South Carolina to help with content. And so now I'm reliant on our teams in all the different divisions. I'm reliant on all of our campaign managers. So the people who handle, the campaign managers who handle like transplant and cancer things. So we have tried to normalize all these cross collaborations with them. So we tell them, if you have a new doctor who seems like they don't mind being in front of a camera, can we get them to give us some PSA, some patient education? Or so basically I'm just trying to normalize cross collaborations so that I'm not solely responsible for collecting content. People are more naturally just thinking of us, and they are submitting that to our team, and I'll tell you how they're doing that in a second. We're also doing a lot of more recycling and repurposing of articles. For example, I just mentioned about how I'm starting to think about Stress Awareness Month. And we just had Doctor's Day, and for Doctor's Day, we had physicians submit us videos of themselves talking about why they came into their field, but we also asked them what you do to de-stress from your job, like outside of work. And so I just realized the other day that, oh, I can repurpose those videos for Stress Management Month, Stress Awareness Month, the ones that we didn't have an opportunity to use. So just thinking about things like that, like I'm going to go to our blog a lot of times, and like maybe we had a blog last year on an awareness month that now I can convert that to Instagram story graphics this month to do some patient education. We also do a lot of video Q&As with our experts on Instagram, on our Instagram stories. Each one of those videos can be converted to a separate reel and used in subsequent weeks and months. They also can be repurposed into an entire blog post. And for SEO, Q&As do really, really well, just so y'all know. And then again, all those reels can be cross-posted onto YouTube Shorts. We also, one thing that has been really successful with us is when people tag us, and again, that's user-generated content. We love to get in touch with those people who are our patients and ask them if they want to share more of their story. And we can do that either through a separate video or a story, an article, or we had one girl who tagged us because she was a kidney transplant patient. She was donating her kidney to her cousin. And she'd already come up with the hashtag kidney cousins, and she was obviously very comfortable in front of the camera and wanted to tell their story. So she did a takeover, and that takeover turned into all kinds of news outlets seeing that, and they all got in touch. And then she became, I mean, this went into North Carolina. This became a regional feel-good story that all started with me recognizing that this girl was happy to share her story once she tagged us on Instagram. So It's so many different ways you can repurpose and recycle things when you have a small team and you don't have a lot of people to come up with all of this different kinds of content that people want and that we need to put on our feeds. And again, back to content collection, what we use for our project management system, Monday.com. And that, I think that you can also use online forums through Teams. Basically, we have people fill out these forms and send it, and it populates in this one like Excel type sheet on Monday. And that's where I can get a lot of my content from. So people will fill out our content collection form, say for like an awareness month, or we also have one for patients that they can fill out. If they send us great feedback, they comment great feedback, I comment, we'd love to hear more of your story. And I post a link to that form. So that's another good streamlined way to do collection. For care team member collection, a lot of times I'll just go have a content collection day on campus. I did that the other day, and I just kind of hit a lot of different things. I had appointments with a couple of people. I went around campus, and I just try to think of everything is content. I ran into a therapy dog and got a quick little video of the dog, and I guarantee you that's going to get more engagement than any other posts that I post next week, because people love dogs. And people love to hear about how our therapy dogs are helping our patients and as well as our care team members. I know it really gave me a big smile when I got to pet that dog the other day. And so another thing that's really helped us out is to, yay dogs. Another thing that's really helped us out is to get over the perfection part. So people love authenticity. They love to see what I've captured on my iPhone. I'm not a great photographer. Emma is, but I don't have. I feel like I have an eye for things, but I don't have the equipment. I'm just walking around campus and I spot this dog. There's nothing wrong with whipping out your iPhone to grab a quick little video of this dog. That's authentic content. People love that. And so just realizing that you don't need this entire, we do have a great creative team that we can use for when we need more polished content. But on the day-to-day social media management, we've just kind of gotten past the idea that every single thing has to be extremely polished and created by a multifaceted team. We don't really need that anymore. So, and people have proven that by engaging with authentic iPhone content. So that's just a quick little cheat sheet, but there's so many more examples that I could name right now. And I think are we at the end?
Yeah.
Y'all
I was going to add too, Kelly Ray, too. I think part of it, like getting over the perfection, not only within our team, but then also like shifting the mindset with our stakeholders so that it's not, the onus isn't on the marketing team to capture the content and for it to be polished and perfect. We really have tried to start encouraging people who have a phone in their pocket to take pictures and send those to us too, so that it's not, it's not just the marketers that can capture. Everyone can, and everyone has that ability. And so I feel like it overall as an organization, we've been trying to encourage that mindset shift that we'd rather have authentic. It's okay if it's not perfect. Capture it in that real moment, and it's not polished, and we'll love to share it that way too. So just to add to your color, right? But yeah, that was it.
A lot of times when our care team members tag us on social media, I'll DM them and ask them to send us the original file. And then there's a few that have just gotten in the habit of just DMing me their photos they caught that day of their team getting together for some special reason. And people love to see that, especially like on our LinkedIn. They love to see how our team members are coming together and celebrating. So again, it's about normalizing collaboration.
Exactly, because there's not enough of us to go around, and
Right.
that's what we try to emphasize too. We can't be everywhere all at once, and so the more people we have that are funneling the content to us, the better.
Are there any questions from the chat? I haven't been looking at the chat. And let's see.
I have a question outside of the chat, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
So when we were talking about making your social media more people-centered, I work in hospice and palliative care, and we host a lot of events, workshops, different things that the community, we want to make them aware of. And currently we're doing that with that really heavy copy and heavy graphics. What's a good way to make a comfortable blend of people and information so that you don't scroll past a picture of one of our providers and miss that, you know, he's hosting a webinar this week?
Okay, one thing that I've started doing is, you know how you scroll through your feed and you see news outlets and they'll have like a good main photo with like their headline on the photo to kind of give you a good idea of what the main idea is. Sometimes if I don't want someone to miss the message, or if we have a really good piece of content that we simply don't have a care team member photo for and we had to use a stock photo, I want people to not just scroll past this blah, meatless, soulless photo of someone I don't know, and I want them to get a good idea. What I've started doing is putting like a kind of like a headline in just a few words of what the main idea is on. So it's kind of like half graphic, half people, half face, you know? So that's how I've been doing that. And I leave all the main information, all the details for the caption, but I try to put something as a headline on the photo that will grab their attention and make them want to read the caption.
That's a perfect suggestion. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else y'all got?
I I had a question about photography, but the other question I had, and something I think a lot about in my position.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So we know LinkedIn's more professional setting, Facebook more family friendly. Some of you guys delineated that in the social media guide, and or how you sort of practice that on a day-to-day level, thinking about the different goals based on the platform.
In the social media guide, we speak to the tone, the audience, and per platform. So we speak to all of those things. And then when I'm posting on social media, we use Meltwater. I mean, the same can be done through Sprout, Hootsuite, but I go through each each individual platform and I make sure, does this speak to this specific audience? So like if we have a care team member who's getting recognized, and a lot of I know you guys have heard of the Daisy Awards probably. So those are nursing excellence awards, and a lot of times there are a lot of great quotes about why this care team member is getting this award. And some of them are very, you know, half of it can be very patient focused and the other half can be very team focused. So when I'm tailoring the content per platform, I'm basically pulling the quotes that are going to speak to patients for Facebook and Instagram. As particularly, I'm picking the best succinct quote about why this person won this award for Twitter. And then for LinkedIn, I want that audience to see how this care team member was a good team player and how they supported their team. So because it's more obviously more peer-to-peer focused. So that's how I'm tailoring the content per platform. But yeah, it is, all those things are outlined on our social media style guide. Did you want to add anything, Kendall? I couldn't tell if you were about to talk earlier.
Oh, no, but you got it. And I was just gonna add too that we use Grammarly as a team too. So with Grammarly you can, and this was like, I think they started doing this pre-chat GPT's explosion, but you can actually put in your tones and put in your brand style guide. So it will, when you're typing, it'll pop up and be like, this sounds off brand, or you should adjust this way, or you're sounding empathetic. So that's something else I feel like that helps us as a team. And then, yeah, of course, the AI tools, I think there are a galore with the AI tools that could help with that too. But that was a great question, Kyle.
Yeah, and just one more FYI, while you are talking about Chat GPT, something that I just discovered while at a social media conference recently was that if you are using ChatGPT to kind of guide you with your anything, you just need a quick little hand from ChatGPT, you can go to the settings on the bottom left. It says customize ChatGPT. You can actually put in your brand voice as you would like an About Me to kind of train that tool to speak as you and to better know your brand. Just a little
And
tip.
I would also say too, like with our team, we've already done some adoption with some of the AI tools that are out there. And of course, a lot of the platforms are already incorporating that in. But I think that is something over the next year we're going to be looking into, like if there are any other AI related platforms that could help with content creation or not completely take over, but assist with it and kind of expedite it. So more to come on that front, but I think that could potentially be a really useful tool moving forward to kind of help with social media.
We have already started writing down those guidelines as well. What we should and shouldn't be using it for and things like that. So that's important to keep in mind when new technology comes. We need to set a process for all of those as they come along.
Hey, gang, there's a question in chat I think is really good about having physicians and providers on board with social media, and many are kind of given a lot of friction or just not being interested. Any best practices, Kelly or team, anybody want to share that they've had some success with?
One thing I've seen, just because before my role that I'm currently in, I was a campaign manager, and a lot of the times it's working with the willing to start off with. So there are definitely physicians out there that are engaged, they want to participate, they really see the value of social media, and those folks I tend to go to just because it's easy. But then I think there's also been a shift in our organization where we're trying to educate and let people know about how important it is. And I'll let Kendall and Kelly Ray talk about it, but they've done a wave of presentations about influencer marketing. So I think that's a perfect example of how like education can really help kind of bring people over into realizing the relevance and the importance of social media. But Kendall and Kelly Ray, you might want to elaborate.
Go for it, Kendall. Go on your influencer tangent.
Okay. One thing I was going to add too is that we have a lot of people who are really engaged and maybe want to run a branded social media account themselves. And so, especially if they maybe did it at a previous organization or they have experience, like a lot of times they'll come and they'll be like, I want to have MUSC XYZ. And we try to redirect that energy and say, you can use your personal platform, your personal network, because that goes with you after you leave MUSC too. So we're really trying to educate people to build their personal brand and in the same way influence our brand. So just remembering that like your identity goes with you, it was with you before, and that can continue to grow if you are using your personal account. And so like they mentioned, we especially with LinkedIn, we have a 30-minute presentation that we have ready to go, locked and loaded for whenever we have people who are super engaged with wanting to get more involved in LinkedIn, and who are maybe maybe they have some criticisms about what they want to see on our social media. And so we take that feedback and we say, great, why don't you share it yourself? And so we really have it baked out to just encourage people again to reflect on their personal brand and then use that to help us as well. And so having people do it, then also you have examples that you can share and be like, they did it, so you can do it too. And I think, in general, if you think about yourself getting on social media, most likely you don't hop on and be like, oh, what did MUSC Health post today? Like, I can't wait to see it. And, I hope we do have people doing that, but generally you want to see people and you want to see what people are doing on social media. It is supposed to be social and not supposed to be just brands and advertising and selling. And so that is really why Kelly Ray has pushed us towards this direction of featuring our people, our patients, and showing stories, because that is what people want to engage with on social media. And so that's what we're really trying to encourage our whole organization to work towards, sharing as a person and not just as a faceless, nameless brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of reframing it like this is your opportunity this is another avenue for you to educate patients, because again, at the end of the day, we want people to live healthy, long lives. And so that's why these physicians got into this field. So it's just about reframing it. Like, this is an opportunity for you to educate people. It's an opportunity for you to use your voice and to elevate your personal brand. And also if it's with someone who is really uncomfortable or just not sure, that's when I say, okay, I'm going to come and help. So again, that would be like a content collection day for me. I just had one the other day. Well, I went to a physician who I filmed last year. So I already knew that he was willing, but uncomfortable with like self-filming and just needed my direction. And so he's so comfortable now with it that he's like, yeah, come on. But he's still not so comfortable that he'll do it himself. He still needs direction. He still feels a lot more comfortable if I'm there with him. So that's, and I always say, I promise it'll be fun. And it always is. And they always do really, really well, better than they think that they will, because this is their field. They know what they're talking about. I would stumble through all the things that they say, but we usually get everything that in one take, because at the end of the day, this is what they know. So.
And I would say, like, that's such a great point, because every physician's different. Everybody has the different reasons. Like, some people are really comfortable with text, so they'll do their own videos and send it over.
Yeah.
Some don't see the value in social media, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then some like are just uncomfortable and don't know what to do or how to go about it, so they need some assistance. So like Kelly Ray will actually stop by and kind of guide them through the process and do a little more hand holding. So I think kind of getting to the root of that. With some of the doctors that are, I guess, struggle to see the importance of social media, one of the funny things, and this just happens every once in a while, they tend to be very competitive. So if they see somebody else that they value that's using it, sometimes that will help, and that's just an easy thing to put out there. But then I think Jordan had asked about metrics, and I think that's really important too. I know we went around for probably a year talking about digital marketing efforts, and that included social media and the importance of that, because I think with the demographic we're dealing with, I think they're a little more comfortable with traditional marketing and traditional media. So social, they don't quite get it. So we do pull reports for social media to be able to share with them. And of course, we're doing, the vanity metrics, impressions, engagement. Some people really react to that. Some people don't. One thing that I think has been really impressive is that now that we're in Meltwater, we're able to tie that in with our media monitoring tool. So we can see that, if Kelly Ray's done a story and it's been picked up by media, like, that's huge. And I'd love Kelly Ray to talk a little bit about her social media story, the kidney one, and how that was picked up by the news. And so things like that we're able to share with our leadership and with our physicians, I think has made a huge impression on them.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had submitted that question because at our organization, I think Molly had chimed in too that it's like pulling teeth, and it truly is.
Yeah.
And even if I say, well, we like to put a lot of blogs out and have content on our website, and we'd love for our providers to help write those, because obviously they're the ones that have the most knowledge and they're passionate about these topics. And I'll even, which they never ever do, and I'll even say, well, I'll write the blog if you don't mind, just to review it and make sure it's accurate. I can't even get that. Like, there's just no.
Yeah.
I think Emma, you had said it's more like they don't understand the importance of it. And I think even when I go to their meetings and I explain the importance, I don't know, it feels like it goes right over their heads,
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge. And I know, so we set up a content portal a couple years ago, and this is meant specifically for adding value for patients. And it features our subject matter experts. And so we've run into that. Again, it's like working with the willing, but it's also, I feel like, a leadership objective. So with all of our marketing plans, we have that content marketing effort in our annual plan for the year. It's approved by our administration and our clinical leadership and by executive leadership. And so they know that it's coming. And it's like, kind of passed down from the ranks. So I think that kind of helps a lot. And if we do have a physician that's not really engaged, we can reach out to our leadership in those different service areas and like add them to the email, and that usually lights a fire. The other big thing is really having those metrics. So I think with a lot of the stuff, and I think Kelly Ray talked about this a little bit, we try to have useful information and educational information, valuable information that we post. So it's not just like, here's our new doc. It's like, we have a new doc, but read about this blog that talks all about these great tips in his specialty area on how your life can be improved by what he does. And so not only do we have the metrics from the social media end, but we also have the metrics from the website analytics end. And then we also have conversions hooked up on the page as well. So we can say, this page brought in so many viewers and so many people engaged with making an appointment. And sometimes some of those higher level like call to actions and I'm forgetting the words now, that's just crazy, but like those actual conversions are the things that leadership want to see. Like they could care less about impressions. What they want to see is, oh, did this bring in appointments? Did this bring in people to our website to like look at the services? So I think that's been huge, like tying in the back end with the metrics.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been helpful. Thank you.
Awesome.
And something else too to add to what Emma said, I think also engaging like advanced practice providers. I know like Kelly Ray's had success with getting our dietitians to share content, athletic trainers, PTs, OTs. So of course, I know physicians they are the most important, but then remembering that there are other providers that would maybe have more time or be more willing to also share and get that recognition too. So, keeping in mind, I don't know exactly what your organization, how many of those you employ, but I think that's another piece of it, remembering the non-physician care team members. And so also from my perspective, I work now with our HR teams. So I'm focused on recruitment marketing. And so for me, I'm encouraging our recruiters to have more of a presence on their personal social media, and encouraging and sharing about our culture, and not just we're hiring desperately, please come and apply for this job. Just to really try to think more about what kind of content can we share to entice people, and then also hiring managers. And so same deal, because some of those people are there in their leadership, they're higher up, and they don't necessarily have the interest or feel as though it is as important. I think it's similar to physicians. And so just really trying to encourage them again to think about themselves and their personal brand outside of just MUSC, and the fact that we can't share everything that everybody wants all the time on social media. And so from our MUSC Health brand. So just really trying to refocus that energy and that enthusiasm, that engagement, and help them channel it appropriately. So it is an ongoing challenge.
Thank you.
I'll just add, because I remembered back in the day, I used to work in the brand marketing department, and we were part of the physician communications team. And so we were doing not just like blogs, because our blogs currently, we have some ghostwriters. So it sounds like we're doing something very similar to what you have, where most of it's written and then you have the subject matter expert kind of prove it. But there we had a science writer that was a PhD that would go actually interview the doctors and write these high level CME articles. And she had to get so creative with getting them to approve it. Like she would make appointments and show up and like sit through them approving it. Like, I mean, it got that dirty. Or like another trick I've seen that I've used in the past is if I can't get the provider to reach out, I'll go to the admin, because they're the gatekeeper, and I will like harass the admin until the admin puts it in front of their face to approve it. But I think, yeah, sometimes you just have to be real creative and kind of a nag, unfortunately.
Yes. And giving them a deadline. If I don't hear back by a certain day, just kind of like that kind of lights a fire under them, I feel like.
I feel like I have done all these things. I have done the deadlines. We've even said like, we're putting this in a magazine, and in the magazine, we need to send this and submit it for it to be printed. And oh no, that doesn't, there have been so many blogs and things that I've written, and I don't know what it is here. And the other thing is too, with our patient stories, it's so funny when I go to some of their staff meetings, they're like, we need to be posting things like Atrium. They post patient stories or they say things like that. And I'm like, oh, we can, like, please share these stories. I reach out to you all quarterly asking like something from all the nurse managers, the everybody and everything, and nothing. And you know that there are great stories out there, and we see them in our Google reviews too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
just funny. We just need a
yeah,
lot
it's
of work on getting people on board.
definitely. And I think, well, Kelly Ray's even had folks that have reached out through social media, like I think interested in sharing stories. So we've kind of gone the backwards route with that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's tough. I feel like consistently reaching out and saying, oh, you want to do this? Give me specific examples. Who can I reach out to from the scheduling team to come up with a group? And usually it's not the physicians for me. It's usually the folks underneath the physicians because they have more time. So like the
Mhm.
nurses and folks are the ones that are actually providing the actual patients.
Right.
And then I feel
Thank
like
you all so much for throwing around ideas. Thank you.
oh yeah, I feel for you. It is definitely challenging. I think something else I was just gonna call out to, I feel like is sometimes you get, like Emma said, work with the willing. Sometimes you get someone who is really engaged and then they become your go-to, like building those relationships and that trust so that they trust, okay, they're sending you content, they're sending you stuff, and you're actually taking it and running with it. So, I mean, of course, I'm thinking of some examples, Kelly Ray, of people that if you needed something for a particular thing, I mean, you're like, you go straight to them and be like, I need help for respiratory therapy awareness week. Trying to get a contact that within those departments that will make it happen.
Mhm.
And so, of course, that might not be the physician, most likely isn't the physician, I think, for most cases. And so, whoever you can find that will just get you something, I think
Yeah.
it's
And
challenging.
it'll get better. Like what Kendall's saying, it's all about relationship building and building trust. And like, it just takes time.
It takes
Right, right. And I think it will help just, I don't know, to kind of cultivate, I don't know, have people feel more comfortable and understanding the idea of social media. I do think it's important. We're in a small community and I think it's important. So thank you all so much.
welcome.
And we did have a question about whether you'd be willing to share that LinkedIn personal brand presentation, even just an abbreviated version of it. I think if we could share when we share this larger presentation, that would be
Okay,
lovely.
yeah. Listen,
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Sorry.
think we should probably round it up just to be respectful of everybody's time. But thank you guys so much, all of you, Kendall, Kelly, and Emma, for this presentation. It's been wonderful. I did want to briefly mention that you can, if you're not a member of CHPRMS, you should join CHPRMS. I just posted a link in the chat there, and it's a very reasonable fee. You get free lunch and learns all through the year, as well as discounted conference registration. And I feel like I had one other thing. Oh yeah, you should follow CHPRMS on social media as well, given the topic today. It's at CHPRMS, I believe. I'm gonna put that in the chat real quick too. But yes, thank you guys again. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to shoot them to one of the CHPRMS members, that we can get back to you guys one-on-one. But yeah, thank you everybody.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to me on
Great.
LinkedIn and ask me more questions. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, same. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks,
My
everyone.
dog also says goodbye.
We appreciate you. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
I need to see dog pictures too, so you need to
Okay.
share those.
Coming.
All right. Thank you guys. We appreciate you.
So much, y'all. Bye.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
all. Bye-bye.